it's
behind me.
Yeah, it's in India. Yeah, right behind you. I can
Yeah.
see Bombay. I can see the Himalayas. I've been there, all over the place for
Well,
5 years. 5 years.
5 years in India.
Yes, with Osho.
Oh, yes. Okay.
At Osho Ashram.
Okay.
Bhagwan Sri Rajneesh.
Awesome.
It was in the 90s, 1990s.
Did, did, did you run into Tony Parsons back then?
Oh, yeah, that was later on.
But wait.
And I met Tony in 2000, and I stayed with him until 2011. That's when I went the last time on a meeting in Amsterdam. But I know Tony very well, and his wife too. I've been with many people.
Claire.
Yeah, I'm in this game for a very long time, of over 50, 60 years. In the Advaita and the spiritual game.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna get into it. So this is gonna be. Yeah. Well, this is a recording for Nothing Media, as well as as well as my own podcast, Ocean to Ocean. So let me give you a little introduction for the viewers and listeners. So I'm Art Pinsof, and I'm going to be interviewing Wouter today.
Wouter.
I'm sorry.
Wouter. Oh no, that's no problem.
Wow. Okay. I like that even better. Wouter.
Okay, Wouter.
Yes. And yeah, and
wow.
I met you. I found out about you through the private Facebook group that Nancy Nethercutt and Michael Markham run.
Yeah, Michael, yes, and Nancy.
Yes, Exploding Rainbows, and you write some really beautiful pieces of prose and autobiographical excerpts there. That apparently you're also in the process of writing your own book about.
Yeah, I am.
About the 4 years that you spent in France in your 20s. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Okay, great. So with that as a start, and this is a podcast about non-duality or whatever else comes up.
Yes.
And I'm really excited to talk to you, Wouter, and hear your story.
Welcome. You're welcome. Yeah.
All right. So you already just mentioned that you spent some time in India 5 years, and with Osho
over a period of 5 years together with my wife.
Okay.
And I traveled all over the place with 15,000 miles.
So you were
with a friend, all over India.
So you could say you were a seeker, a really intense seeker, then maybe.
Well, in a way, I was a seeker, yes, but not as intense as you suggest. I was a seeker from very early on, from when I began seeking around 16, my 16th year, and I got this book here. This book.
What is that? Ramana Maharshi.
Ramana Maharshi. It's 1963.
Wow.
Edited 1963. You see, it's coming apart. But this is the original book that was given to me at the age of 16 by an uncle who was in the sailor, and he brought this from Bombay.
Wouter, I've never seen that edition, but that's brought tears to my eyes just seeing that. That's so beautiful.
Yeah, beautiful. Eh? Look, this is the backside.
Yeah.
Oh, here's this picture, Ramana picture.
Yeah.
You see?
Mm-hmm.
And it's titled "Erase the Ego." Yes, what?
I'm familiar.
And my uncle
I've never
also
seen the first edition.
No, and my uncle also gave me this one.
Yes.
You have that one? You know this one?
Yes, of course, yes.
You see, this is a 1963 edition as well.
Oh wow, Yes, I've had other friends. I know other people who got that edition.
Oh yeah.
Many decades, 60 years ago, also.
Yeah. This is 1963. This is printed. This is from Ramana Ashram in Tiruvannamalai. This original. This thing.
That's
my
beautiful.
Uncle brought this back from India as well.
Wow. So your uncle. Okay, so let's start there. So what was your relationship with your uncle like? Why did he want to give this to you? What were your early talks with him like? Were you immediately interested in this topic, or were you like, oh, I don't care, I'm a kid?
It was because of I was at the time of my 16th year. I was a member of the Rosicrucian Fellowship, Rosicrucian Society.
When you were 16.
Yes.
Well, how were you introduced to that?
I had a neighbor, an old man who was very fond of me. I liked him too very much, and he had many books like me, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And he somehow he recognized this spiritual thing in me, in my eyes or whatever, my way of behaving, something like that. And he had books about Jiddu Krishnamurti and Ramana Maharshi, Paul Brunton, you know, all the old books. Ever heard of Paul Brunton?
Yeah. Yes. He was the.
He was one of the first people to write about Ramana.
Yes. The secret something of India.
Yeah, the secret. Yeah. The secret, something like that. Yeah. I have it here on the shelf.
That was the first book.
Yeah, that was the first book. Yeah. Searching Secret India, something like that. Yeah.
Yes, that was the book that brought Arthur Osborne to meet Ramana.
Right. Yeah. That's the one. Yeah. I think so. Yeah.
Okay. So the Rosicrucian then. I don't even know where to go from there.
No?
That's quite a beginning. How old were you when you started with the Rosicrucian? 16. Okay, so that was the same year. 16. And where were you? Was this in the Netherlands?
In the Netherlands, in the Rosicrucians had this temple in Rotterdam and in Amsterdam, or Haarlem and Rotterdam.
Okay.
And this old man, that my friend, he took me to Rotterdam to the temple over there, and he introduced me, and so I became a pupil, like a learner in Rosicrucian matters, and I stayed there for a couple of years, well, 1.5 years, and then I left because it started boring me. Gnosticism is not really my thing. So I went beyond that.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I'm trying to process this. I mean, being introduced to Rosicrucianism and Ramana Maharshi at the same time. I mean, okay, so my background, I started with Hermeticism, which is very similar to Rosicrucianism. Yeah.
Hermes Trismegistus?
Yes.
Yeah, I know all about him.
Yes.
And Christian Rosenkreutz.
Yeah, I'm less.
You know that?
I'm less familiar with Rosicrucian and
okay, yeah.
But I was studying someone named Franz Bardon.
Yeah.
And also Gurdjieff and
Gurdjieff.
So I started studying things like that when I was in college, and that was my introduction to spiritual things. And then many years later, I found Ramana Maharshi, and then things got simpler, you know.
Okay.
So for you, I guess my first question is, how did you receive Ramana's teaching at first? You know, because it's a much simpler teaching than Rosicrucianism.
Yes, it is. But at first, I couldn't make any sense of it.
Right.
You know, all these Sanskrit words, you know, like vichara and pranam and all, you know, all these guys.
Yeah.
I couldn't make sense of it for a long time.
Yeah.
But I was deeply struck by his picture, by the beauty of his face. That overwhelmed me. You know, the first glance.
Yeah.
At the photo. Wow. Like it blew my mind.
Yeah.
And I didn't know why. I didn't understand, but it was quite a blissful experience. But yeah, the very first glance of his picture.
Yeah.
A lot of people have that.
Yeah.
I heard later. Yeah. So that was the beginning of well, you could say of the search in a way.
Planted the seed.
Yes. Yeah.
And with the Rosicrucian, so you did that for a year and a half. Did you have any? Did you have any spiritual experiences from that you would like to share?
Experiences in the Rosicrucian Fellowship?
Yeah.
No, not really.
Okay.
No, they have a simple message. It's a bit related. It's called esoteric Christianity. So there's the same things as in the Bible, but in an esoteric way.
So
it was about this Christ thing, the Christ force.
Yeah.
Is entering the cave of the heart, a little bit like in Ramana Maharshi's way, the cave of the heart, and the Christ, the radiance of Christ awakens the heart, and all blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
That's a bit of you understand?
Okay. Yeah, I understand.
Okay.
I understand, but no but no like telepathy or any psychedelic experiences or anything like this through it.
No, that was a couple of years later.
Okay. So let's move on then. So
the first psychedelic experience was in Paris when I was 18 years old.
Okay.
2 years later.
Okay. Well, then let me allow you to just tell your story, and I'll ask questions when it feels like I have one. But you can continue. So yeah, tell me whatever you think is relevant and interesting from the leading up to Paris or jumping ahead.
Leading up from what?
Leading up to your move to Paris and the psychedelic experience. What were the most significant experiences?
Well, it all began with an experience when I was a very young kid. I was about 8 or 9 years old, and I had these moments of total disappearance, like shoot. I was thrown into a timelessness for I don't know how long, and then after a while I came back again, just like my old self. I had that many times over a period of time. And there was no fear of those experiences. An experience of total disappearance can be very scary, but I wasn't afraid at all. I had these things often. So I got familiar with it.
Yeah.
But that went on for a couple of years, up to my 12th. Then I was 12 years, and then in the period, in the 4 years until I was 16, nothing really happened. Nothing special. No, as you call it, psychedelic experience or mystical experiences.
Yeah.
There were not any of those. No.
Yeah.
It all came later.
Yeah.
Yes.
And yeah. Okay, so what led you to Paris? And yeah,
it was an accident. There was an accident. I never planned to go to Paris, but as I told Frank yesterday in the Zoom chat, he asked me the same thing. I was hitchhiking with a friend. We were from Rotterdam to Eindhoven, which is a familiar place in the Netherlands and a well-known place in the Netherlands. And we were planning to go there to visit his father, who was a colonel in the army. So we had no plans at all. But when we were on the side of the road hitchhiking, there was this French guy that pulled up in a bus, and he told us that he was going to Paris. And my friend and I looked at each other and we smiled and we said, "Yeah, we're going to Paris too." So the next morning, 7 o'clock, we were dropped at Porte la Villette in the northern part of of Paris, and we walked all the way down to downtown, to the Quartier Latin, where the Notre Dame is and all those. Have you ever been there?
I haven't. No.
Oh, you haven't. Okay, right. But it's a famous place. Notre Dame, the church that was on fire last year.
Yes.
Over there, that area. That's called Quartier Latin. And you have the university, and all the artistic people. It's like Greenwich Village in New York. In those days. Yeah.
Right.
Yes, in those days.
It was the artistic, poetic side.
The artistic area. Yes, yeah. And just a year before I came in 1964, William Burroughs and Allen Ginsberg and his friend Peter Orlovsky. You know the names.
I know
Allen Ginsberg.
Yes.
Yeah, and William Burroughs.
Yes.
William Burroughs. Okay.
Naked Lunch.
Naked Lunch, right? Naked Lunch. And they had been living in the Quartier Latin, just a few blocks away from where I stayed. So I just missed them.
Yeah. You probably met some of their you probably had mutual acquaintances then. You probably met people who knew them.
Yes, I knew. There was a bookshop called Shakespeare and Company, a famous bookshop in Paris. It's opposite the church, opposite Notre Dame. And that was owned by George Whitman. George Whitman, he was the owner.
Okay.
And I got this book. Where is it? Somewhere here. Oh, here. Yeah. I bought this Leaves of Grass by Walt Whitman.
Yeah.
I bought that in Shakespeare and Company. I got it from George Whitman.
Beautiful.
He was not a family of Walt Whitman at all.
Not related.
But he had the same name. It was George Whitman, like this.
George Whitman sold you the Walt Whitman book. Yeah.
He sold me the Walt. Yes.
Yeah, that's funny.
And I kept this on all my travels in my back pocket. So I had it with me all the time, together with a copy of On the Road from Jack Kerouac.
Yeah.
2 books. They were my companies, my intellectual, all this poetry, beautiful.
I haven't read too much Walt Whitman personally, just a little, but is there a non-dual or spiritual element to his writing that you would say?
Oh yes, he was enlightened, to use that word.
Yeah.
He was a sage, the true first and only American sage.
What about Emerson and Thoreau?
Yeah, they were different.
Okay.
They were close, but they were different. They were not right. In my assessment, they were not enlightened or sages, but they had this spiritual thing about them.
Okay, interesting. Yes. Well, okay, so all right, so from the time Paris was where you first took a psychedelic, is that right? Yes,
on a party in a big house in a big place, an 8-room apartment.
And what year would that have been? 1960?
That was 1966.
And was it mescaline or LSD or?
That was LSD, yeah.
LSD. 1966. Yeah. What was it legal at the time?
What?
What was it legal at the time in Paris?
Oh yes, yeah, it was still legal.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, that's interesting because I feel like a big problem with these psychedelics for the past 50 years has been because it's illegal, it creates anxiety for people more, because they're afraid of, but I can't imagine what it would have been like for you to try this thing when it was legal.
I was invited to the party by a friend of my girlfriend. A woman, and she took me there, and when we were on the balcony, she gave me a lump of sugar, a lump of sugar.
Yeah.
And she put it in my mouth, and and I drank it away with a glass of white wine. I didn't know what it was, so I didn't pay any attention to it.
Yeah.
So within 30, 40 minutes on the balcony, looking down in the street, I started to notice strange alterations in perception.
Yes.
Things I had never seen before. All this light and everything began like, you know, like waves in the ocean, being on a ship. And then this girl came up to me again and she said, how are you feeling, darling? Are you all right? I said, yeah, I'm okay, but I'm feeling a little strange. And she put me on a couch there. And then it all started. The explosion into this psychedelic orgasm.
Yeah. Yeah. And
yeah.
Was there, well, so you mentioned that you had a mystical experience of disappearing when you were very young.
Yeah, when I was young, but that was different. It was just like I totally disappeared into nothingness.
Was there anything similar about the LSD experience?
No, not at all.
Not at all. Yeah.
No, LSD is it's quite dramatic. It's
yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's real altered states. Yeah.
I'm familiar. I'm familiar.
Yeah, you know about it. Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
You've taken it. Yes. How many times? Or how often?
Maybe 4 or 5 times in my life. Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe a dozen psychedelic things in general in my life.
Okay. Well, that's quite. It's not like me. I've taken it over the period of 40 years, maybe 100 times or so.
Yeah, that's a bit more.
That's a bit more, yeah. But it's a nice drug. I don't consider it to be a drug. It's a nice how do you call it? It's not a drug. It's
medicine.
It's a vacation. It's like, you know, it's called a trip. So and that's what it is.
Yes.
And I started to like it, and I could easily get hold of it. The people, and I knew the people who sold it, and it was quite easily obtainable by that time. So
did this affect your own spiritual search?
No, not at all. No, it had nothing to do with it.
Okay.
Nothing. No, it didn't. To me, it didn't feel spiritual. It was sensational. That's what it is. Sensational.
Were you writing back then or doing anything creative? No.
No.
Okay.
No.
Experience.
I wasn't right because in my time in France, I wasn't writing, and later on in '68 I moved to London for another 4 years, and there was no writing, or it was just living a life of a hippie, and you know, in the pop scene, I met all these people like Jimi Hendrix and Arthur Brown. You know the crazy word of Arthur Brown. You know the crazy word of Arthur Brown, the God of Hellfire. You know the song, "I am the God of Hellfire."
No.
That was a number one hit.
Wow.
A world hit. Yes.
I'll look it up.
Yeah, I knew him from Paris. He was always performing in a club called the Palladium. I met him there when I was in France, and I befriended him, and we were allowed, because we were hippies with long hair and all this, you know, all the stuff, dress, fancy dress, colorful, and we were always let in for free. We didn't have to pay entrance fee, so we could always walk in and out anytime we wanted. A few people, a few hippies, and so I met Arthur Brown, and he was a nice guy. We had a good friendship. I was always sitting on the podium while they were playing funky music.
Cool.
And later in London, 2 years later, I met him again, and then a friend of mine who was playing the guitar, we wrote a song for him that he made He put it on a single, but he never put it on an album. So it was never released as an album. So I didn't get any royalties from it.
Ah.
Yeah, well, that's okay.
Yeah.
It's not a problem, but it was fun doing.
And is that?
And Arthur was a nice guy, very nice guy. Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool.
That's cool.
And you met Jimi Hendrix as well, you said.
Yeah, in the Tiles. It was Tottenham Court Road. There was a nightclub called the Tiles, and he played there. And it was I also met the Who.
Cool.
You know, at the you know, have you been in London? You know what London is like?
I've been to London, yes.
I've been to London, yeah. You know, Tottenham Court Road is a high building, a skyscraper.
I'm not that familiar. I was only there for a couple days, really.
That was the skyscraper. On top of the skyscraper, there was the office of Mr. Burns. Burns was a guitar maker, and he had a shop down at the street side.
Okay.
And the Who came to buy their stuff there almost every month because they smash it up in their concerts. You remember that? Yeah. So I met them too a couple of times. Nice guys. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, what was your interaction with Jimmy like? I love Jimi Hendrix.
Oh, I talked to him. I've had some chat, but I didn't befriend him in the sense that I saw him a couple of times, and
he was
I talked to him a couple of times. Yeah, but that was all. It was not a friendship, but acquaintance. Yeah.
I see. Yes. I see. And he was friendly. Any impression that you had?
Oh, I was. Well, he was stoned most of the time. You know, like people. I call that stoned. He was always stoned.
Yeah.
His shiny eyes.
I know what you mean. Yeah. Okay. Well then. Okay. So throughout all this hippie era of your life, were there any experiences similar to that were non-dual? The Ramana Maharshi seed that was planted, and your experience of disappearing. Did any of that come back during this whole hippie era?
No.
Okay.
No.
Interesting. So how about we fast forward to whenever that came back into your life? I mean, but you eventually went to India and Osho, and you eventually go to.
No. That was later on. I went to India in the 1990s.
Okay. It's a long time later. Okay. So. Yeah.
And I married in 1972. I married for the first time.
Okay.
And we had this daughter. And but I divorced after 3 years. I divorced because I met another woman who I'm still with.
Okay.
Beatrice.
Okay.
That was quite inevitable. It just happened, you know.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of drama involved with that because you had to divorce. Yeah. I had a beautiful wife, a beautiful child.
Yeah.
And still I went for the other woman but that was unavoidable.
Right.
You know, like being sucked into a, you know what I mean.
I know.
Yeah. Okay. So there was a lot of drama involved, and it was painful and for everybody. So.
Where were you living at that time?
In the south of not far from Rotterdam, in the south of Rotterdam.
Okay. So you're back in the Netherlands, in south of
Rotterdam. Back in the Netherlands, yeah. I came back in 1972 and I married in the same year, and my wife got pregnant, and my daughter was born in 1973, and so you know. And then after 3 years, I divorced, and I engaged with. In a new adventure with Beatrice. Beatrice is the name of my wife. Yes.
Yes. Well, beautiful. Well, interesting.
And she had four sons.
Okay.
So I became a father of another four sons.
Wow.
Yeah, I had to raise them. That was quite a thing. I was 28 years old.
Wow.
And she was 39.
Wow.
Yeah. Yes. So that was quite a thing.
Wow. So, wow. Well, yeah. So, was there anything? What was the spirituality in your life at that time?
No spirituality at all. It's totally gone.
Yeah.
I mean, there was no spirituality.
Just
not quite. A little bit in the background. I always had this how you call it? I had some spiritual thing about me. In a way, I look at things, talked about things.
Yeah.
A bit different than other people.
Yeah, and right.
I was different. Yes.
Right, and what were you doing for work at that time?
We had a piano shop and a music school. My second wife had a music school. We were selling organs. Okay. We were giving music lessons. We sold guitars and pianos and grand pianos and all the stuff. We had a shop, and we had a school, a music school with about 200 people attending.
Yeah. Wow, cool. Did you give piano lessons, guitar lessons?
My wife gave piano lessons, and my wife's ex-husband, he was a piano player because he was a musician. So my wife also can play the piano, and she sold the pianos and the organs and so on.
And what did you do there?
I did the transport of the sold organs and so, you know, okay. I ran the van, the truck with all the stuff, and I delivered it at the people's homes, that kind of work, and some administration.
I see. I see. So
I can play an instrument. I can't read music or whatever.
But it sounds like you're a lover of music.
Oh yes, that's what I am. Yeah. Yes. And I have a wide spectrum of music that I like, from all kinds of music.
Awesome. Me too.
Yeah. I love it. Yeah.
So the spiritual search, did that begin when your children became older? Was that?
Oh, the spiritual search was on a low level, always on.
Yes.
Yeah. Low level. Yes. Because I talked about the Rosicrucians.
Yes.
And when I was with my second wife, with Beatrice, for 4 years, I talked about this Rosicrucian time that I had when I was younger, and she became interested. She was raised a Christian.
Oh yeah.
But she wanted something else. She wanted to get rid of this Christianity. Yeah. So I introduced her again to the school of the Rosicrucians, and I went with her there for another year, and then stepped out of it again. But she stayed a little longer, and this was a very important period for her, because that liberated her from the old Christian, the grip of the Christianity, you know.
The dogma, or maybe the fear of hell, or something like this.
Yes. So she got into this Rosicrucian thing, and she stayed there for 3 or 4 years, and then stepped out of it again, because we got one evening, a friend of mine, old friend of mine, who I hadn't seen for many years. He rang the doorbell, and I let him in, and he had a girlfriend with him, and they were from Osho's ashram. They were sannyasins.
Yes.
And then this Osho, this Bhagwan Rashni's adventures started.
What year was that when these friends?
It was 1978.
Okay.
1978.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with Osho that much. When did Osho become popular at first? When did that begin?
Well, around 1968, 1970.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he had a pretty big following by 1970.
He had a big following, yes. Yeah. And he had been around India for since 1960 or so.
Okay, yeah.
And later I became friends with his family when we were staying in Pune. We became how do you say that? A friend of mine called Mooney. There was a man whom I traveled all over India.
Mooney.
And he was a friend of Osho's family. So he introduced us into the family, which is very rare.
Yeah.
So I got to know Osho's mother, Mataji, and his sisters and his brothers.
Wow.
And we often came together for a meal, having a meal, being together, having fun and so. I have some nice footage of Osho's mother singing songs and being with the family. Yes. But this is very private. I'm not going to show that on Facebook.
Yes.
But we had a beautiful friendship.
Wow.
Yes. Wow. And this was in the house of Osho's private driver from the time that he was giving satsangs all over India. This man's name is Malik Bafna, and he was Osho driver. There are pictures of him around.
I think I've seen the picture of you and him.
Yeah. And this was a rich Indian. He had some ship business in Bombay, so they were rich. And he had big fancy apartments, and it was quite a rich environment where they lived in. So, and that's where we had all these dinners and all this. That was the scenery of our friendship, you know.
Yes. So
that was a beautiful time, but that was from 1990 to 95 when we were in India.
Okay, that's jumping ahead.
See, 1978, 1990, and then 2000. I came to know Tony Parsons, and there were many other people in between.
Yes.
Yes.
Who are the other people in between that I might know, or you might want?
Very Long.
Very Long, yes.
No, Very Long, yeah.
Yes.
Dr. Vijay Shankar. You know Vijay Shankar?
No.
No, he's not so very well known. There was a Dutch guy, Alexander Smith. Okay. You know that name?
No. No? Well, no, but as far as Very Long, I've heard Very Long was somebody that Eckhart Tolle and Jim Newman both were with for some time.
Yeah, Jim Newman knew him too.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Very Long called himself the Master of the West. Yeah.
The Master of the West?
The Master of the West, yeah.
Oh, Bastard of the West.
The Master of the West.
Master, yes.
That's what he called himself.
So would you say he was, well, okay, so what did you get out of each of these people? Let's go with that.
So, no, not much.
Not much.
No, not much.
Not much from the Master of the West.
No.
Wow, what an arrogant title. If I don't, that's not. I don't know.
No, self-entitled, the Master of the West.
Yes.
Yeah, because it was after Osho died. Osho died in 1988 or so. Yeah, 1988.
Okay.
Yeah, and then there was a vacuum.
Right. Yeah.
There was no big master in the world, and then Very Long came along. He came along. Very Long came along, and he said, "I am the master of the West."
I see. Yes. So I'm
and
around
he
that
came
time when Pop. Yeah.
And he came from the lineage of Ramana Maharshi, and he also. No, he had not been with Nisargadatta, but he came from Ramana Maharshi.
Wait, Very Long?
Very Long came from Ramana Maharshi.
Did Very Long meet Ramana Maharshi?
I don't know. No. But Ramana Maharshi died in 1950.
Yes, well, around, right, and when Osho died, Papaji became famous. Who?
Papaji, yeah, I've been with Papaji in Lucknow. Yeah, he was a very nice man. He was he was beautiful.
I love Papaji. Yes.
Yeah, and I also remember Muji, who is now very famous.
Yes.
Being in the audience.
What was your impression of Muji? Did you talk to him back then as an audience?
Well, no, I never.
Yeah.
Befriended or I was not acquainted with him, but I've seen him around.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I didn't think much of him, but it was just.
Yeah.
It was. He was quite devoted. He was a little bit over devoted.
Yes.
That's what struck me.
Yes. Oh, beautiful. Well, were you devoted towards any of these people?
No, not at all.
Okay.
I was no. Except for being in Osho ashram, because it's not. I can't say I was devoted, but I was totally into this energetic field. It's very energetic in Osho's ashram. I had a lot of dancing, music, beauty, sharing of
Yeah.
That was the beauty of being with Osho.
Right.
Actually, I never had really felt intimacy with all those gurus. I never had a guru. Actually, never had a guru. Not a real. I never. How do you say that? Submitted to being a guru, to kiss the guru's feet or something like that.
Okay.
I never did that.
Yeah, and so going back to your time with Osho, tell me more about that. What were you were friends with the family and you had experiences with the dancing and this sort of
thing.
The
dancing, the whirling, like the Sufi whirling, and there was a nice swimming pool, and it was a beautiful park called Nula Park. It was connected with the ashram and was built by the sannyasins. And there was a beautiful garden with beautiful plants, and there were a lot of snakes. You had to be aware of the snakes, especially at night and in the evening. It was closed at night for that reason, because it was quite dangerous. Yes.
Wow.
But yeah, it was like being on a very nice holiday all the time. The stay in the ashram was very, very pleasant.
And that was in the 90s, 90 to 95.
In the 90s, from 1990 to 95.
And was that with you and was your wife with you still?
My wife was with me, yeah. And we were there most of the time in the winter. And in summertime, we went back to the Netherlands, and we lived in a caravan. And then in the winter, the winter time, 5-6 months, we went back to India every year. So in the summer, it's too hot to be there, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you feel so let's go back to that disappearing. Did that happen again at any point up to the 90s?
No, not anymore. It was a thing of my youth, of my early childhood.
Well, let's jump ahead to right now. I mean, how does that disappearing relate to your experience now you could say that there's no I there, yes, or something like that.
Oh, there's no experience either.
Right.
This is not an experience.
Right.
An experience is when there's distance, but there is no distance to what is. So there's no experience anymore.
So how did things transition into that way of?
Can you say that again?
How did you come to that understanding, that way of putting things?
It's not an understanding.
Right. But when did you start to say things this way as opposed to some other way? Well, maybe you should continue your story. So from Osho to Barry Long and all these other people. And then Tony. So you met Tony in 1998, Tony Parsons?
No,
yes?
no, 2000.
2000.
I met I met Tony in 2000.
So
I stayed with Tony to 2011.
So what was your first impression of Tony Parsons?
I was obliterating. It was like an explosion into nothingness. That was the nothingness coming back, falling back into nothingness again. That was the recognition from Wham. Yeah. I had this thing with Osho, but also I had that in my Osho time because it was so liberating, the dancing, the energy field. But sitting with Tony and hearing there's no one, that was a final blow. There was a big blow, boom, and it was a recognition. But that was still an experience of a recognition. Later on, this all how do you say that? There's really a disappearance into nothingness in the end, which is not an experience anymore. Being a person and the perception of I'm here and the world is over there, that's an experience. But that falls away. Then there's no experience anymore. So you can't figure this out by meditation, by self-inquiry. Impossible. It's very difficult to convey how this happens or doesn't. It doesn't even happen. But there's a falling into no, not a falling. No, not a falling into. I can't explain it. No one can.
Yes. It's getting quite dark where you are. Can you?
Oh, do I have to? Yeah. I'll put some more light on my face.
It looks like you're disappearing right now.
Yeah, maybe I am. Yeah. It's okay like this? Yeah, it's getting darker. I'm in the attic, and it's quite overclouded. It's quite dark outside, so.
That's okay. Well, I can see your face and the lamp.
Okay, no, that's okay now.
It's okay. So yeah.
Okay.
So this Zen saying, first there's mountains, then there's no mountains, then there's mountains again. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh yeah, but there are no mountains. There are no things.
Right.
When there's no experience, there are no things. When there's experience, everything is a thing. But there are no things.
But what about this? And then there are mountains again. What are your? Do you have
the mountains are mountains again, but they are the same nothingness as everything is.
Right.
They're empty. Right. They're empty. The emptiness and the fullness.
Yes.
But they're not a thing anymore. There are no things anymore.
Right.
So there is no me, and there's no mountain.
Right. Well, then how can we even talk about this?
But it just happened. Talking about it just happens. No one's doing it.
Yeah. I talk about this a lot with people, but I haven't spoken with you before, and
no.
Okay, so I want to be a little bit challenging on this, because Tony Parsons has a fairly specific way of talking about this, that it seems like other people use similar language. That there's no, this is nothing apparently happening. This is no thing apparently happening.
That's what's being said, right?
For no one, no purpose, no meaning.
Right.
And I feel like, I feel like that's one way of putting it. And I really enjoy hearing the difference in how different people put it. But I guess that's like poetry. I don't know.
Yeah. Poetry is a good word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there are no words for this. There are no words for this.
No, this is a singing, like Nancy says, the singing of this. You can sing this. Yeah. Just like the Aboriginals in Australia, they also sing. They sing.
Yes.
Yeah, they sing each other home.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a beautiful expression.
Yeah. Yes. So they sing each other home.
Yes.
Wow. That's beautiful. That's much like this Ram Dass quote. We're all walking each other home. He said.
Ram Dass.
Ram Dass.
Yeah. Ram Dass. He was with Neem Karoli Baba.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Richard Alpert.
Yes.
Yeah, was a friend of Timothy Leary.
Yes.
Yeah, all the acid guys. Yes.
Yeah.
I remember that. Ram Dass took LSD to Neem Karoli Baba.
That's right.
And Neem Karoli Baba, he asked him, what is that stuff that you're using? And he told him that was LSD. And I said, let me try it. So he took everything, about 15 trips, and he swallowed it.
Yeah.
And there were no signs of no, not at all. He just went on like before. And Ram Dass, he couldn't believe his eyes. He was baffled.
That's right.
Absolutely. Yeah. But this is a story. I don't know whether it's true, but
yeah, I don't know if it's true either.
No, I don't actually, I don't think so, because
I don't totally believe it either, because somebody gave Ramana Maharshi a lot of hash. They gave him like a very high dose of weed, and he was stoned for 2 days.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, of course.
Everybody is.
Yeah, the body is the body,
but these stories with Neem Karoli Baba, like the stories from Robert, that he could pick oranges from the skies.
Yes.
And just like the other guy in South India, what's his name? Baba. What's his name? The guy with the curly.
Oh,
Sai Baba. Yeah.
We don't need to talk about Sai Baba.
Yeah, no, that's all. With all these watches, they came. One year they came from Egypt. The next year they came from Japan, and the other year they came from the USA. All these watches.
Wow. Yeah. No, and then some accusations.
It was a trick. It was a trick, a juggling trick.
Yeah, and some accusations of pedophilia came out later.
Yeah, it had nothing to do with what a true sage is conveying to people.
Right.
Nothing to do with that kind of spirituality, like Nisargadatta Ramana.
Right. So
it's more like a circus.
So what does that mean to be a true sage?
What does it mean? Yeah, a good question. What does it mean? I don't know. I don't really know. No.
Ramana said you can't tell if someone's awakened or not, really.
No, you can't.
Or realized, but
no.
But he said it's good. He said if you feel a feeling of peace being in someone's presence, that's a good sign.
You can what? When you feel the feeling of peace?
While you're in their presence, that's a good indicator.
No, I think that's a story. No.
Okay.
No.
Because someone like Osho, he wasn't trying to. He would try to shock people. It wasn't about peace. It was about.
No, but he was a special. When I saw Osho for the first time, I never saw him alive because I came to Pune after he had died. But the first time I saw him on film, I was full of tears. I cried.
Yeah.
I wept.
Yeah.
Without even noticing.
Yeah.
I wept. I was wet all over. It was amazing, just because of this presence.
Yeah.
So that was something dramatic happening. There was quite something, but I don't know if it has any significance. I don't think so. Interesting. So nothing can be given. There can be a radiance, and it can be an experience of being overwhelmed by that radiance. But this has nothing to do with what we're talking about here. So that's why I say you can't figure this out. It can be figured out by meditation or by self-inquiry. It can't, and also not by the presence, to be in the presence of a master. It can't happen because it doesn't happen. It doesn't really happen in the sense of the idea that we have of something happening. It isn't happening that way.
Yeah.
So it happens and it doesn't, and it
well,
doesn't, and it does.
Yes. It's paradoxical.
It is. Oh yeah, everything is paradoxical. But the main thing is that no one knows what anything is. I don't, and you don't, and a sage doesn't either.
Right. Yeah. Well, I think this is what Ramana meant by find out who you are. It was just, I think that was his way of trying to get the mind out of the picture. Like, or
but the mind is also a story. That's also a concept.
Right.
There is no mind.
Right. Yeah. I think that's what he was trying to lead people to see in his own way, the way that worked for him, maybe. You know, there was this old Indian saying that Ramana used to say of, you know, it takes a thorn to remove a thorn. So.
Oh yes, yeah, that's.
But I always think about when you use a thorn to remove the thorn, you have to.
But that has to do with doing. You're doing something. You do something to attain or obtain another thing.
Doing.
You exchange the one thing for another thing. That has nothing to do with what we talk about here.
Well, the point that I see is that you have to remove all thorns, you know.
But there are no thorns to remove. There are no thorns. That's a story.
Right.
There's nothing to remove. Everything is all right what it is.
Right.
There's no path to anywhere, to any place. There are no places. There are no things either.
Well, these are some interesting stories, though. Yes.
Oh yeah, the stories are okay, and they're very nice to tell them and to hear them.
Yeah.
You can very joyful and you can laugh, and, have fun with it.
And what drew you to India? What drew you to Osho?
I don't know, because I had no plans to go to Paris either, and coming to India just happened. It just happened. It was my wife that took the initiative. One day, I must say, but in that time we had a crisis in the relationship.
Yeah.
And we lived apart for a year, and then we came together again. And then my wife said, "And now we go to India. Now we go see Osho, or we go to India."
Yeah.
Yeah, that was her initiative. And then we got on the plane, and okay, there we were, Bombay. You know, he come in this exotic world, beautiful.
And you must have had many experiences. Like when you first saw the video of Osho, you cried. You must have had many experiences that come and go. Yes.
Oh yeah, there were many experiences.
Yeah.
But experience, they have no value. I mean, they are just experiences. They're not special. Yeah. They don't to collect experiences. The experience don't bring you anywhere. That they don't take you anywhere. It's just what's happening.
Yeah.
It's not so. You don't go from one experience to the better experience to another better experience until you reach where you want to go. But there's nothing to reach. There's no becoming. There's no arriving in where you want to be.
Because you
already you never arrive. But there's just what is, and that's all there is. Yeah. And there's nothing to attain, nothing to become.
Yeah. Yeah. So from 2000 to 2011, you were listening to Tony, I guess, seeing him.
Yes.
speak in person?
Well, yeah.
And
he came to Amsterdam every 6 weeks or so.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Oh,
wow.
yeah, he came for quite often. Yeah, yeah.
And so so why did you stop in 2011? What changed?
Can you say that again?
Why did you stop seeing him in 2011?
I don't know. I just stopped seeing him.
Yeah.
It was okay. It was just done.
Yeah.
It was done.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So just.
Yeah.
I do remember the last time I went to see him. But that's a vivid memory of that. Yeah. But it's just stopped and it was okay.
Yeah.
It was done.
Yeah. Yeah. And so what has happened in your story the last 10 years, 2021 now? So what
Right. I'm playing with the light. Okay. I'm playing. So yeah, it's okay like this. Can you still see me?
Oh, it's good. It's good.
It's good. Okay. Okay. Yeah.
So what after 2011? Are there what story do you want to share in the last 10 years of your most recent?
Well, let me think. I don't know. There weren't many stories. Oh yeah, there was another crisis in the relationship 2 years ago.
Okay.
That was dramatic. That was heavy. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
But that was solved as well.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
And now we have a very good. The relationship is growing. Yeah, I can use the word. It's growing.
Yes. Beautiful.
It's deepening, and that's an endless journey until you die. It is yeah. That's how it's seen here. But it's beautiful. It's okay. And all these dramas, they just happen.
Does it feel like life? Well, yeah, life is living itself. Yes. Would you say?
No, I don't like the expression life is living. You could say life is doing itself, but how the heck you know? You don't know anything.
You don't know.
You just don't knowing.
You just don't know. Yeah, it's
you
unknown.
don't know.
Unknown.
And that's all your life. However long your life is, you never know anything.
Yeah.
You don't know who you are. You don't know what anything is. And that's all. Yeah, that's the reality. The reality of life. You don't know what it is.
Yeah.
No, you haven't a clue. Nothing.
Right.
I don't.
Right.
And it's okay. It doesn't bother me. I mean,
right.
It's just what it is.
And yet it would sound to people who don't know this language or aren't familiar with non-duality, this sounds crazy. Yes. You
can be in the same knowing, not knowing about non-duality. You can be a peasant somewhere in the fields.
Yes.
Being in the same knowing.
Yes.
Yeah. Never heard of non-duality, whatever.
Yes.
He lives his life. He comes and goes, or he doesn't come and he doesn't go. He's never there. There's no one.
Yes.
And that counts for everybody.
Yes.
And for you, yeah.
It's just what is.
Yes, yeah. And what it is, you don't know what it is.
You don't know what it is.
No, never.
Okay, well, there's one modern teacher who says that the character Wouter would travel lighter because of Wouter. Like you said, you had this drama 2 years ago that went away. Do you feel like there's that things are better or easier or lighter because of what you're saying, because of this unknown?
Yeah, life now is very easy. Life is always seamless, a seamless life. It's the ease of being. That's always on. and has never been off. It's always been that way.
But it seems heavier and harder when you're trying to understand it.
Yeah. That's suffering.
That's suffering.
Yeah, that's suffering. Yeah. I think that's what the Buddha called dukkha, suffering. Because you try to make sense of it. And you never will. You never can.
Right.
Yeah. And there can be a cessation of that. Eh? It can stop. It can come to a halt, and that's not even noticed. It's not even noticed.
It's not even noticed.
No.
There's no story of a ship of a.
No, no. All stories fall away. They just evaporate. They just dissolve. They go away.
So you don't remember? Do you remember a moment where,
No, I don't.
No.
I gradually been sliding into this. I've been sliding into it. So that's a way of speaking, sliding. There was never, of course, there was never a sliding, but it has never been.
Right.
Life has never been different from what it really is.
Right.
It has always been like this.
How does it feel in your body right now when you speak this?
In my body, it feels as if the body is not there. The body is only there when you give it attention. Then there's a body. Yeah, it's simple as that. There's no body. There is no body.
What about the words love and heart? What are your feelings, thoughts on that?
Love and heart?
Yeah.
I have no special sensation by hearing that saying. I don't know. No. Love.
When I hear what you're saying, Wouter, I feel something in my heart. It's nothing. I don't care about it, but it feels free. Like talking about this feels just.
Yeah, but it doesn't have to be labeled.
Right.
I can say, yeah, it's nice. Love is nice. Love is soft. Love is gentle. Love is sweet.
Yeah. Well,
it has no significance.
Right. Yeah. It's poetry.
I don't even know what I'm saying.
You don't know what you're saying.
No.
Right.
No, and you neither.
How could you? How could you know?
What?
How could you know what you're saying?
I can't. Impossible. We're talking here, huh?
Yeah.
And there is only the talking.
Yeah.
There's the talking. There's the sensation of talking, sound, but we don't know what it is. And yet we seem to understand each other. We seem to communicate. It's a very strange thing. It's a very strange phenomenon. This is a mystery that this is possible.
Yes.
Life and reality as we know it. It's impossible. It cannot be. It's an impossibility. It's so crazy. It's mind-blowing crazy.
Why do you think people are drawn to this?
I don't know. There are no people drawn to anything. It's just what it is. Because when you say why are people drawn into this, and then you immediately you're back in the story. You're making a story out of people and getting in anywhere and doing things, and it's all story. Don't know.
It's all story. When the story goes away, it was never there.
Huh.
So yeah, well, it's all poetry. It's all the song, as Nancy.
Yeah, poetry is a good word. Yeah, yeah.
I like the word poetry. And
yes.
Yeah, endless poetry.
Yeah. But no word does apply to say to express this. There are no words for it. You can't make sense of it. You can't. No. Hmm?
Yes.
You agree?
Yes.
Yeah. You in a way you could say,
yes,
to use the word experience, that it is an experience of knowing that you cannot make sense of it.
Yes.
But it's not an experience.
It feels like we've dissolved into the ocean now. You know,
right. Yes.
As far as the interview goes, the conversation goes, I'm thinking, oh, well, part of my brain is just, it wants to keep this interesting for viewers and listeners. But at the same time, this is the most powerful. I mean, this is it. Now the conversation is the salt doll that's dissolved into the water now.
Yes. Yeah.
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 There's no story.
No. And yet there's everything. There's no story, and yet there's everything.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. The story is beautiful. It comes. It's almost more beautiful when you know that it's not real. When you see that there's no meaning. When you see
but real and not real are conceptual. That's the notion of realness and unrealness.
Right.
There's no such significance. You don't say anything with that.
Language itself. I mean, I only know English, but I imagine all languages have duality built into them. There's no, every word implies duality.
Yeah, but duality is also a concept. There's no duality. There's no non-duality.
Right.
No.
Yes. Yes.
This is a miracle.
Yes.
This is a miracle. And it is, well, you can say it's a mystery. But then you're in the story again. Even naming it a mystery. You just don't know.
What about naming it ordinary? What are your thoughts?
Oh, that's a nice word. The ordinariness of everyday life.
I like. Yeah.
That's okay. You can call it like that. Yeah. 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 The nothing happening life. The nothing happening life.
Or ordinary and yet also extraordinary.
Yeah, but it's another labeling. We keep on labeling.
Yes.
It's a disease almost. It's like a disease. It's like a form of insanity.
Why do you write? Why do you write? Why do you speak about this?
I have no clue why I do things.
Yeah.
I don't do things.
Yeah.
Things happen.
Yeah.
Unavoidable. You can't stop it.
Yeah.
You can stop it. No.
Can't stop it.
No, you can't stop it.
Would you want other people to I don't know the right words, but this unknowing, would you want other people to see that?
No. I have no intention and no agenda to tell anybody else to do or to see whatever or not.
Yeah.
That's not, no.
Yeah.
No.
Is there any,
how could I?
Is there anyone in your life where you live now that you talk to about this?
Oh yes, I know people. I have friends who are giving satsang, you know, like Advaita style satsang.
Yeah.
Trying to show people the way to whatever. There's no way to show, but people are coming to some call it a sage or a teacher because they want to know how to get rid of this personhood or this suffering or this cramp, the ego cramp or whatever. And there's no such thing. There's no cramping. There is imagined cramping.
Yeah.
In reality, there's no cramping.
Yeah.
In reality, that is just what it is, and there is no center in that, and there are no boundaries to that. There's nothing here, and there's nothing there. There's nothing inside. There's no inside and no outside. Yes. When you touch the wall, or you know, when I'm touching a book, that you say, yeah, this is a book. This is a solid book. Yeah. But it isn't. It's just the senses telling you.
Yeah.
And the mind, the word mind, it doesn't, but you attach a word to the experience. But this is solid. And I cannot walk through the wall. No, you have to use the door. But that doesn't prove the existence of matter and a wall. It's just how it is. You go to the door to go outside or to enter the room. But this is all. It only happens. I can say it happens in the brain. Where is the wall? The wall is in the brain or in the mind.
Yes.
Yeah. And the mind sees a wall and it sees a door and it goes to the door to get outside. As simple as that. But nothing is happening and nothing is real.
Yes.
And that's how all of your life is. From being born to die, and there's neither birth nor death. It's
no birth or death.
It sounds odd, but it is unimaginable. It's crazy. Life is crazy. Never make sense of it.
It's a mystery. It's a miracle. It's crazy. It's unknowable.
Yes. Yeah. And then you have the thing we call awareness. The awareness thing. The Guru says you are pure awareness. But what is that? Have you ever seen awareness?
No.
No one has. No, neither does the Guru, right? He's talking about something he doesn't understand himself. We call it awareness. And we have said awareness.
Didn't understand. Rama didn't understand.
No.
Doesn't understand.
No.
No one understands.
But still, they are teaching this awareness is your true self, your true essence. But that's just a story. It doesn't mean anything.
Let me say some phrases that come to mind, some Indian phrases. Like in India, I first heard this from Neem Karoli Baba told this to Ram Dass, and you know, God, Guru, and self are all the same.
Yeah. It's like this. It's the same as saying an ice cream and your mouth are the same. What does it mean? You don't know. You don't know. You don't really know what you're saying. We're talking, but we don't know what we're saying. We're making sounds. And we attach meaning to those sounds. But it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
That this goes far. This blows your mind.
Yeah.
Yes, blows your mind. You're baffled. Really.
There's nowhere to land.
No, there's no ground. There's all this. You hear some people talk about a ground of being, like Robert Saltzman.
The ground of being, yes.
The ground of being, but there's no ground of being. That's nonsense.
Yeah.
Total nonsense. There's absolutely really nothing. Yeah.
Here's another one. The eye cannot see itself.
No, blood, you cannot wash blood away with blood. Same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Trying to understand itself is like futile.
Like what?
Ramana said, the mind trying to understand itself.
Yeah.
Its own nature.
It's the same thing, like the eye trying to see itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Or Ramana said, you know, it's like hiring the thief to be the policeman.
Yeah, yeah. Same thing. Yeah. Or saying nothing is trying to see nothing. Nothing is trying to see itself, which is nothing. There's nothing to see. Nothing is seeing. There's no seer in here, and there's the seeing and what is seen are the same thing or the same noting.
And what is right? And I've been told that in Buddhism, the word nothing, it comes from the word sunyata, I think, or something like this. But the original word for nothing, it means not thing. No, it means not this thing. It doesn't mean. So some people might have a concept of nothing. They might think, oh, it's nothing. That's a thing. People can turn nothing into nothing. The mind will turn nothing into a thing. Yes.
Yeah, that's what the mind is for.
It's like I used to believe in God. Then I believed in love. Now I believe. Yeah. Now I believe in nothing. Nothing's just a new belief.
Yeah, you don't have to believe in spaghetti. You just eat it. I believe in God. I believe in. Chocolate.
You can't eat nothing though. So what? Why this?
Even nothing is a concept.
Yes. Yes. Oh, so you are eating.
You really don't. You really have no clue. Never. You have no clue.
Yeah.
You never had. And still everything happens, and you have a house, you have a family, you have a job, you pay the mortgage, all these things happen. Yeah. You don't know what it is, but it just happens.
Yeah.
It just happens. You're not involved. You're not there. You're not there.
And yet you were all of it at the same time, yes?
But that's another concept. You're all of it. There's no you. That is all of it. That sounds odd. There's no you. But you are all of this.
Well, let's say it like this. Nancy says, I am my beliefs. I am the thought stream.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, you can say that. You are your beliefs. Michael Markham is saying the same thing. You are your beliefs. You are your thoughts. That's all. And what are thoughts? You don't know, but you are your thoughts.
You don't know. Yes.
You are what's going on in the biochemical stuff here. And in this skull somewhere, there is this electronic biochemical soup, which is making all this up. Apparently. Hey, it's another way of trying to make sense of it.
Yeah.
It's not going to work. It never will.
And is this freedom?
Well, we can call that freedom. There's nothing wrong with the word freedom, but it's freedom for no one. It's freedom for no one.
Yeah.
You can't get rid of words, of labeling. It's so compelling to name things. People naming things. Yeah.
You know, my favorite thing that Ramana said at this point is he said that my truest teaching is silence.
Yeah.
There's no words because there's no words for this.
No.
There's no concept for this.
You can also say, what did you say? My true what?
Well, he said my most direct teaching is silence.
Yeah. You also say my most direct teaching is pointing up my finger, or holding up a flower like the Buddha did on the Vulture Peak. You remember that story? Yeah, he held up a flower.
Yeah.
And only one story is that one disciple understood and smiled. He just held up a flower.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful way of expressing noting.
Yes. That is, yeah.
Yes.
Wow. Wow. Wouter.
Wouter. Art Pinsof.
Yes.
Yeah. What's in a name?
What's in a name?
Art. You're art.
I'm art and you're wow.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Wouter.
Yeah, thank you to Art. Nice talking to you.
Nice talking to you. I'm gonna end the
wonderful.
Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna